So good morning, everybody. My name is Reverend Dr. Ron Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Sunday service for the Center for Spiritual Living, Space Coast. And if there's anybody watching this morning or any other time that's never been to a Center for Spiritual Living before, we believe there's one God, many paths to that God, and we're here to love, honor, and support you, no matter what your divine path is. And the Center for Spiritual Living, Space Coast is a safe haven for people of all beliefs and lifestyles, whoever you are and wherever you find yourself on your journey of faith, you're welcome here. And to begin our service this morning, our Reverend Jenna Watkins is going to open us with a prayer, and then one of our congregants, Barbara, is going to read a spiritual reading for us.
I invite you to just take a nice, slow, deep breath in, allowing yourself to center into the energy of the One, into the energy of the universal creator, who is the source and substance of all life, my life, your life. We're all one. We're all united in the oneness of our divine creator, that creative intelligence that created each and every one of us in perfection. Out of love into love. We are the perfect expression of divine love as we open our hearts and minds to allow it to flow through each and every one of us, floating into our whole beingness, filling us with the love, the eternal, unconditional, empowering love that flows through us, is us as us. And as we come together today, we are connected in this love, sharing it with one another, those who are present on this call today and those who will be watching later. We feel this love and we extend this love to our community. And we come together today knowing that we are here to connect, that we are here to grow and deepen our connection with that universal love. And as we do so, we listen to the words coming through Reverend Dr. Ron Fox, knowing that somewhere in those beautiful words he speaks is a message for one of us, for each of us, our own personal, unique, aha, awareness, that which will lift us up and expand us moving forward, that which will help our lives become more imbued with the divine love that we are. I know this is true for each and every one of us, and I give thanks that it is so. And I release my law into the universal law of creation, knowing that it is done here and now. And so it is.
Today's reading is from His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama. From my own limited experience, I have found that the greatest degree of inner tranquility comes from the development of love and compassion. The more we care for the happiness of others, the greater our own sense of well-being becomes. Cultivating a close, warm-hearted feeling for others automatically puts us at ease. This helps remove whatever fears or insecurities we may have and gives us the strength to cope with any obstacles we encounter. It is the ultimate source of success in life. As long as we live in this world, we are bound to encounter problems. If at such time we lose hope and become discouraged, we diminish our ability to face difficulties. If, on the other hand, we remember that it is not just ourselves, but everyone who has to undergo suffering, this more realistic perspective will increase our determination and capacity to overcome troubles. Indeed, with this attitude, each new obstacle can be seen as yet another valuable opportunity to improve our mind. Thus, we can strive gradually to become more compassionate. That is, we can develop both genuine sympathy for others' suffering and the will to help remove their pain. As a result, our own serenity and inner strength will increase.
Thank you, Barb. So my title today is Our Lives as Unlimited Good. So, you know, we can receive all we could ever hope for that awaits us at every moment of our lives. We are not limited by anything but our consciousness. Our good only awaits our recognition. We need to just tune in to the good that's all around us. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But we do that so that we can receive our share of our divine birthright. And so if that's all we have to do, why is it when we look around, we see so many that struggle? And, you know, for us, I think in New Thought, we'd say that's because we get what we believe. Just look, prosperity and poverty are just states of consciousness. And before we can claim the gifts that are ours, we need to be open to receiving them. Ernest Holmes, who founded the Centers for Spiritual Living, wrote, "We can't experience more than we can accept, but we can expect more than we're experiencing." So he's saying we need to be open to receive the gifts. And no matter where we are, whether we have everything we could dream of or whether we're having difficulty, we can always be open to receiving more. There are no limits. As long as we keep working our consciousness, we can receive more and more. You know, when we say that our prayer work shouldn't be concerned with things. What we want to do is develop the consciousness that enables us to receive all of life's good in and through us all the time. You know, Spirit doesn't test us. God's not out there testing us or looking to punish us. God wants us to be fulfilled. And there's no question that you and I have the power to transform our lives. The question we need to ask ourselves is, how am I using that power? How am I using my power? Am I focusing on the good that I know is mine? Or am I letting thoughts of lack and limitation and negativity run my life? It's when we use our power of positivity that we begin to change our life. And an affirmation that we can say to ourselves is, today I begin to claim my good. I release old beliefs and know my life is changing right now. Today I begin to claim my good. I release old beliefs and know my life is changing right now. Let me just read you another quote from Ernest Holmes. He said, "When great thoughts spring up in the mind of an individual, when a great poem is written, when a great work of art is wrought by some receptive artist, it is simply a sign that the veil is thin and he has caught a glimpse of reality." So Holmes, what he's saying is that when he's saying the veil is thin, is that when we get these great ideas, they're coming from Spirit. And when we do the spiritual work, we get the ideas, whether it's to write a great poem or do some great music or whatever it is we do, whether it's to write a novel like Barb, who just did the reading, did, or whatever it is, these thoughts come from Spirit. And when we open ourselves to receive them, we do receive them. So I want to talk about freedom for a moment. I was reading something from Michael Beckwith this week, and he said when he has a class, he asks his students, what does freedom mean to you? And here are the top 4 answers he gets from years now of asking students what freedom means to them. First one is, it means freedom of choice. Second one is freedom from restrictions imposed by outside sources, no matter what it is. The third one is freedom to do whatever one chooses. And the fourth one is freedom from self-imposed limitations. Freedom from self-imposed limitations. And here's the bottom line of why he was talking about it. He said, freedom is not a license. It's not a license. When an individual is free, he said, it leads to a life of spontaneous goodness. It means not manipulating circumstances to conform how you think life should be. It comes from a conscious realization of our inner self, which has never been enslaved, ever. You know, when Eric Butterworth, the late Unity minister, kind of builds on that thought, he said, you know, you and I are spiritual beings, and the allness of spirit is within us. And it has all the answers to our needs. So, you know, if spirit has all the answers to our needs and we open ourselves to spirit, that means we too have all the answers to our needs that are available to us. And he said kind of the same thing Beckwith is saying. He said, you know, we don't need spirit to give us anything by sleight of hand. The answer is to develop a greater consciousness, a deeper consciousness. And he said the only way to change your luck is to change your thoughts. Your fortune isn't influenced by caprice. It's determined by the shape of your consciousness. So if all of that is true, and I believe it is, why is it so hard for some of us to change? And Joe Dispenza has written several books where he talks about that. And in one of them, he says, you know, we can relive the past over and over and over again. And when we do, the repetition trains our body. It trains it to remember the emotional state even more than what our conscious mind is. And so what happens, we form a habit. We form a habit. We've memorized a set of behaviors, a set of attitudes, a set of beliefs, and a set of emotional reactions that become subconsciously programmed within us. And they run us. These subconscious ideas run us. And what does that mean? That means we think the same thoughts, feel the same feelings, act in identical ways, behave in the same manner, believe the same dogmas, and perceive reality in the same way over and over and over again. And so what it is the 5% of our conscious mind is struggling against the 95% of our unconscious programming. So think about that. What that really means is 95% of our day, for most of us, we're unconscious. We're unconscious. We're just following this program that's been put in there. So let me give you an example. Dispenza gives several examples of this, but this one, let me just give you this one. So And this is a true story that was written in a peer-reviewed medical journal. They have a patient that they refer to as Mr. Wright. And Mr. Wright has advanced lymphoma. He has huge tumors. Some of them are as large as an orange. Imagine that. And the doctors, his doctors, have given up hope for Mr. Wright. But then the hospital he was in, which is in Long Beach, California, they were part of an experimental testing of a new drug that was drawn from the blood of a horse. And it's called crabiazin. And Wright got some of this drug. He got his shot on Friday. Now remember, this was somebody who the doctors had given up on. He got his shot on Friday. On Monday, he was laughing, he was walking around, and he was joking with his nurses. That's Friday to Monday. And in 10 days, he was released from the hospital, totally cured. 2 months later, there was an article in the newspaper that the drug was a dud. Mr. Wright read that article and relapsed. His doctor came to him and said, listen, forget that article. There's a new super refined double strength batch, and I've got it to give you. And so he injects Mr. Wright. However, there was no such drug. What he did, he injected Mr. Wright with distilled water. And again, his tumors magically disappeared. Once again, 2 months later, there were articles that the AMA declared the drug totally worthless. Mr. Wright read the article, relapsed, and 2 days later was dead. That's the power of our subconscious mind. So what can we do? Well, let me talk about a couple of things. Wayne Dyer, in one of his books, says that one of the things we can do, the secret to manifesting anything, is our willingness and ability to realign ourselves with our inner world and make sure it's in harmony with our power of intention. He said we need to continually contemplate ourselves surrounded by the good that we want. And he said that creative power of the universe is working with us to create the desire we want. And he gives some tongue-in-cheek, I think, examples. He said, you know, the Wright brothers didn't contemplate staying on the ground. And Bell didn't contemplate uncommunication. And Edison didn't contemplate the darkness of things. You and I need to contemplate what it is we want, not what we don't want, because what we put our focus on is what we create in our life. And you know, we've talked about this before, about the tools that we have, about prayer and meditation and affirmations and classes and workshops and reading, etc., that all can work to help us learn how it is to deepen our consciousness and to say yes to what we want and to turn away from what we don't want. And for those of you that want to get into this a little more deeply, in September, Becky, my wife, who's a practitioner emeritus, is going to have a class based on the book Emergence by Derek Rydell, which will cover this much more deeply than we can do it in a 25-minute message. So remember that September, Becky will put some information soon in July on that coming class. Lady named Mandy Hale wrote, "Happiness is letting go of what you think your life is supposed to look like and celebrating it for everything that it is." So I was reading a book this week called Buddha's Brain, and the authors talk about internalizing the positive. And they say, you know, we can turn facts into positive experience, and good things are happening all the time and we don't notice them. Like a flower is blooming, somebody is nice to you, you finish a really difficult project you were working on, and they say it all rolls by. So what we need to do is actively look for the good news, particularly the little stuff that we see happening every day, like the faces of children, the smell of an orange, thoughts of a wonderful vacation that we had in the past, that we need to open up to positive facts. They said, it's like sitting down at a banquet. Don't just look, eat. We need to savor the experience, make it last by staying with it. And the more that we hold these things in our awareness, the more our new neurons fire and trace together. So when we do that, once again, we're training our brain to overcome those subconscious feelings and beliefs that we have, and reprogramming those neurons. So let me just close with one thing to let you think about that I saw this week that really touched me. And the author said, remember, there'll always be somebody who won't see your worth. Don't let it be you. Thank you for being here this morning. God bless you and have a wonderful week.